Good morning, family. Welcome to today's Lessons for Life. Today is Sunday, February 15, 2009, and today we're reading in Numbers chapter 22, and there's really a lot in this chapter, so I encourage you really to read it through for yourself and see what you get from it. But there's a couple of things I just want to mention that I saw from this chapter where the children of Israel are now pitched up and about to go to war with those in Moab, and those in Moab were actually afraid of them because they saw what they had did before, and so they send for a man by the name of Balaam, because they know that he has a relationship with God, and they tell him that they want him to basically curse these people. And what I found interesting, even just from reading that, is that we know the Lord spoke to Moses several times, and we've been reading him speaking and having dialogue, communication with Moses. But then here you see how the Lord actually also speaks to this man named Balaam. And one thing I was, just thinking about as I was reading this, that, they were those from Moab were actually trying to use God basically as a pawn and, get him to fight on their behalf. But even the lesson that we learned several weeks ago was, it's not, who has God on their side, but more so who's on God's side. So it's not like you're supposed to use God for you, whether you're doing right or wrong, but you're just supposed to be doing what God will have for you to do and being on His side. And that's where that protection comes from. Because as you see, even that Balaam wasn't even able to curse these people. The Lord said he's not even able to curse them. So there's a protection that comes from those people, the children of Israel, that followed God's law and followed His commandments and were on God's side. But it was just really interesting that they were attempting to use, even it wasn't that they were going to another God or anything like that. They were still going back to another man who communicated with the same one God to really fight on their behalf. But that was one lesson I got from it, just, by you staying in that right standing, being faithful to the commandments of the Lord and being on God's side. There's that protection that comes from God just by doing that. And things will not be able to happen to you just because you have that, you're on the right side. So that was one thing. And another thing I saw, even as you read further on with the story of Balaam, is how important it is for us to follow directions, God's instructions, to a T, and not to, skip some steps and expect the same results. Because you see here that Balaam, when the Lord speaks to him and says, he doesn't want him to go with them, and then they come back again, and he says, okay, well, if they compel you, if they, tell you to go with them again, then you can go with them, but follow only things I say to you. And what happens when Balaam wakes up in the morning, he just gets his stuff together and he goes with them. Because it says then the Lord was upset with him for going with them. He was going to actually kill him. And at first I thought about it, because I said, wait, did the Lord just say that he can go with them? But no, the Lord said to go with them if they said to him, okay, well, they want him to go again. But he just, as he got up in the morning, it says he just prepared himself and he went with them. And he didn't, like I said, follow God's instruction to a T. So what we need to do and what we need to learn from this is, when God gives us instructions, A, B, C, and D, you can't, skip A and B and then just do C and D and expect the same results if you follow God's instruction all the way. Or you can't expect God to be pleased with you for only partially following all of His instructions. So we even learned that before with Moses and Aaron when they had, the Lord had told them to speak to the rock for the water. And then Moses came and he struck the rock. And then it says that the Lord was displeased with them too. So another lesson, like I said, we get from this is to follow God's instruction to a T and follow the commandments of the Lord. A for A, B for B, C for C, and D for D. Not putting our own spin on it, trying to help God out or doing certain things our own way and then following the end of what God wants us to do. Because we'll get a totally different result and the Lord will not be pleased with that. So with that, that's today's lesson for life. Create yourself a wonderfully blessed day today, and we will talk again tomorrow.